When atheists use the term God of the Gap in debate, they usually refer to the style of argumentation wherein theists try to disprove theories in science to prove God. It's actually an argument that is used by theists to prove the existence of God, not the other way around. You can't prove the existence of God by saying that we'll eventually find the explanation to everything. Maybe, if you already have the explanation to everything, you'd have a stronger case against God. But even then, it's not complete proof against his existence. Whenever atheists bring up the God of the Gap argument, it's usually not to disprove God but to criticize the theist style of argumentation. About your comment on the universe being magical and wondrous, I think one major distinction between atheists and theists is that the latter can't seem to draw a distinction between the terms magical and wondrous. I find it interesting how some theists I know would find justification for belief in God just by looking at a wondrous sunset. Yes, the planets, the stars and the universe are indeed wondrous. But to claim that they give justification to a quote-unquote magical God would be different. By magical, I mean something that goes beyond the realm of naturalism and into the realm of supernaturalism. Most theists claim that their gods are supernatural, and that is how they usually justify loopholes in most logical and scientific contradictions. A God that exists in the material realm and therefore subject to its laws doesn't have the same luxury. Are you just arguing for a first cause? If that first cause turns out to be a completely natural process, and not a sentient entity, never mind omniscient, omnipotent, etc., would you still consider that process God? Arguing for a first cause is not the same as arguing for a sentient creator. Or are you simply arguing that the possibility for God's existence isn't zero? If so, then it's a pointless argument, since most atheists claim that God's existence is ridiculously improbable, but most will shy away from claiming that it's totally impossible. Maybe the video is intended for Gnostic atheists. If so, then you should have addressed the video directly to them and not to all atheists in general, since the group you're referring to is a very small minority. You said that God works through science. Maybe he does. Maybe there's an element of godly intervention in the way lightnings are produced. But as of now there is no evidence that even remotely suggests that godly intervention is necessary. Now, if you're gonna argue that the inadequacy of explanations for certain phenomena suggests necessity for godly intervention, then that's where God of the Gap comes in. I actually watched your other videos, including your case for a God video in which you argued that something must have initialized the expansion of the universe, since in a singularity time can't exist or something to that effect. That really isn't a problem in science but in conventional logic. If there's anything that modern physics has taught us, it's that conventional logic cannot be a reliable gauge for determining reality. Actually, if you do some research on the subject, you'd find that the problems you pointed out, including the problem of singularity, have scientific solutions. The problem of how a universe can expand from a singularity, for example, is not encountered under the Friedman-Robertson-Walker model of the Big Bang. You may also do some research on how Big Bangs are produced under M theory. You even made some errors regarding your description of the multiverse theory, in which you seem to be describing the oscillatory model of the universe. The multiverse theory is derived from quantum theory, a very heavily supported scientific theory. And even though we have no direct evidence for the existence of other universes, it's a far cry from believing in a God, a concept that has absolutely no scientific backing. There's not even a scientific model for it. All he has supporting him are suppositions based on faulty common sense and God of the Gap arguments. Point is, We don't know a lot about reality. Some may find that as justification for belief, or even proof for God. I'd say that's God of the gap, and I'm not using it as proof against God. I'm simply saying that that style of argumentation isn't valid. If a scientific problem is encountered, then a scientific explanation must be introduced. And no, because God made it so, is not a scientific explanation. It can't even qualify as an explanation. What it is a conclusion. An unfounded one. An explanation would include a hypothesis as to how. Basically what you're doing in your videos is just arguing that God's existence is not totally impossible, which isn't wrong. We really have nothing to debate about there. Problem is, you're claiming that you're disproving atheism in general. I don't know if you're just being funny. But a lot of people take your stuff seriously and therefore deserve a serious rebuttal. Actually, I first stumbled on your videos when a creationist sent me a link to one of your videos claiming that you've disproven atheism and proved God.